Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Battle Through the Heavens Part 235 based on novel. So let's start. A sharp frightening wind whistled through the chamber. The black metal-like fist of the Northern Dragon King was just like the sickle of a death god as it mercilessly shot towards Xiao Yan's head. This sudden unexpected change would have caused anyone else to turn pale in shock, but the smile on the face of that skinny figure standing in front of the fire cauldron did not disappear. Just glanced at the Northern Dragon King, who had broken free from the cauldron, and extended his finger before pressing it down from some distance away. Bang! After Xiao Yan pressed his finger down, the Northern Dragon King, who was rushing over, suddenly stiffened. Wave after wave of pink flames suddenly erupted from his body without warning. They wrapped around his body before invading from all possible entrances. They swiftly swarmed into the Northern Dragon King's head before wrapping around the lingering soul that was controlling his body. Bastard, what have you done to his king? The sudden unexpected change caused the Northern Dragon King to feel shocked and furious. He let out a stern roar. Northern Dragon King, you have overestimated yourself by attempting to use a technique that hides your soul in front of me. Xiao Yan merely smiled as the Northern Dragon King let out a shocked and furious roar. His spiritual strength was many times stronger than this Northern Dragon King. How could he make a simple mistake like missing a soul fragment? However, what had just occurred was what he had hoped would happen. Although a body refined by an ordinary refinement method became tougher and became immune to pain, a puppet was ultimately only a puppet. It did not possess its own fighting experience. Xiao Yan was naturally unwilling to use the Northern Dragon King's body to refine such a basic puppet. With his current strength, he would refine the best puppet he could since he wished to refine one. A perfect puppet not only required a metal-like body and an immunity to pain, it also required a great fighting experience and many killing methods. However, a puppet was normally controlled by its owner. If the owner ignored it, the puppet would become dull regardless of how strong it was. This type of puppet was far from being perfect. In order to resolve this weakness, one needed to construct the puppet with as much intelligence, or rather battle experience, as possible. The Northern Dragon King had fought in an uncountable number of battles throughout his life. He was an extremely experienced fighter. As long as his soul fragment was refined and merged with the puppet that would be formed would truly become a killing machine. Back then, Xiao Yan had shattered the soul of the Northern Dragon King, but he had left this soul fragment hidden within the Northern Dragon King's body alone. This soul fragment had inherited the viciousness of the Northern Dragon King. It had been hiding during this period of time and had only rose to cause trouble after Xiao Yan had tempered the body until it was extremely strong. Unfortunately, this remnant soul was unaware that this was a trap to lure him out. Only by merging this soul fragment with this body would the puppet be perfect. I have finally found you. Xiao Yan glanced at the Northern Dragon King, who had been surrounded by a pink flame, and faintly smiled. He could sense that the heavenly flame had surrounded the Northern Dragon King's remaining soul. Don't. The Northern Dragon King seemed to have detected something at this moment. Shock flashed across his eyes. Before he could finish speaking, however, Xiao Yan had indifferently waved his hand. The purifying demonic lotus flame surged forward and swallowed the soul fragment like a tornado. Its terrifyingly high temperature refined it within a couple of minutes. After the Northern Dragon King's final soul fragment was refined, a somewhat illusory airflow suddenly appeared within the purifying demonic lotus flame. After which, this airflow slowly drifted under Xiao Yan's control before merging with the head of the puppet. After the illusory flow entered the Northern Dragon King's head, the hollow eyes of the puppet gradually revealed a cold golden luster. This luster was set off by the puppet's black metal-like body. Looking from a distance, it appeared extremely majestic and emanated a great deterrence. Moreover, its originally somewhat stiff body gradually replaced. This loosening was not a form of weakness. Instead, it hid the puppet's frightening strength, which could erupt at a moment's notice, in a place where one's eyes could not reach, allowing the puppet to be more effective when it erupted and killed. Xiao Yan sighed in relief as he observed the black metal figure standing in front of him. He flicked his finger. A drop of essence blood shot out of his finger. Finally, it landed on the puppet's brow before transforming into a faint blood seal. A mental connection was also formed when Seal appeared. In the future, you shall be called Northern King. That strong-looking black figure's face moved after hearing Xiao Yan's words. Finally, an emotionless hoarse voice was slowly emitted from its mouth. Understood, Master. This puppet was different from those sky demon puppets in the past. The sky demon puppets did not possess an intelligence. They needed to be controlled by people when fighting others. However, this Northern King would automatically attack with just a thought from Xiao Yan. Moreover, it would not look sluggish like a regular puppet would when fighting against others. It appeared as though it was no different than if the Northern Dragon King had been revived. The current Northern King should be comparable to a 5-star Dosheng. Xiao Yan fondled his chin. His eyes continued to observe the Northern King. A puppet that could match a 5-star Dosheng. There was no telling just how much of a commotion such news would stir if it spread. However, Xiao Yan still felt a little unsatisfied. The Northern Dragon King had vaguely reached the 6th star of the Dosheng class, and with the unusually strong body of the Northern Dragon King, the limit of this puppet should be higher. A puppet is unable to unleash Do Chi. It completely relies on the strength of its physical body when attacking. With the current physical body of the Northern King, refining it with the purifying demonic lotus flame would not do much. In the past, the Earth Demon puppet had relied on absorbing lightning in order to raise its strength. Xiao Yan had used a similar refinement method for this puppet and had refined some special ingredients into the Northern King's body. In other words, the current Northern King would possess the ability to absorb lightning. Moreover, the limit of this absorption was far from what those sky demon puppets in the past could compare with. Hence, the only thing he needed to consider was where he could find a sufficient lightning strength. If he were to rely on refining medicinal pills to attract pill lightning, Xiao Yan would not be able to break the Northern King through to the 6th star of the Dosheng class even if he worked himself to death. Perhaps it is time to head to that place. Xiao Yan mused for a moment before he softly laughed. He did not remain any longer as he turned around and walked out of the chamber. The Northern King followed close behind him like a shadow. Xiao Yan immediately came across Kaylin in the courtyard after exiting the quiet room. She also turned her head after detecting him. A stunned expression flashed across her eyes when she saw the Northern King behind Xiao Yan. The body of the Northern Dragon King had undergone a drastic change after the purifying demonic lotus flame had refined it for over 10 days. With its black metallic-like body, no one would recognize it as the infamous Northern Dragon King of the ancient Void Dragon tribe with just a glance. The refinement was a success. Xiao Yan nodded. He did not remain for long. After briefly explaining the situation to Cai Lin, he led the Northern King into the air and swiftly rushed into the empty realm outside of the Dragon Island. Rumble. The low and deep roar of thunder echoed in the distance within the dark empty realm. If one swept one's eyes around, one would find a glowing silver light near the edge of the darkness where huge thunderbolts crazily whistled by like huge dragons. Xiao Yan's body remained suspended in the realm. His eyes swept over the extremely huge lightning pool in front of him. This place was where he had refined the Sky Demon puppets back then and also where he had met the headmaster of the Inner Academy, Mang Qian Kai from the Lei clan, for the first time. At that time, Mang Qian Kai had appeared extremely miserable since he was being chased by those strange black lightning beings. At that time, Xiao Yan only knew that those black lightnings were terrifying and that he could not touch them. This time around, his target were those black lightning beings, who had forced Mang Qian Kai to flee in horror back then. He needed to rely on the lightning strength of this lightning pool in order to raise the strength of the Northern King to a truly perfect level. Let's go. His arc-black pupils observed the thunderbolt surging within the lightning pool. Xiao Yan faintly smiled as his body took the lead to fly forward. The Northern King's black body followed close behind him. Back then, Xiao Yan had needed to be extremely careful when he had entered the lightning pool of the empty realm. He had been afraid of attracting tens of thousands of lightning strikes at the same time, but now he appeared quite at ease in this strange region that was filled with a frightening strength. His body steadily floated through the lightning pool. The wildly flashing thunderbolts would suddenly come to a halt when they were still hundreds of feet from Xiao Yan before turning tail and running with some panic. They were able to detect a relatively frightening existence within the somewhat strong body. Xiao Yan did not pause along the way. He rushed to the deepest part of the lightning pool. With the purifying demonic lotus flame protecting his body, the lightning strength did not dare to charge forward. From the looks of it, this third-ranked heavenly flame did live up to its reputation. The lightning pool of the empty realm was extremely vast, but with Xiao Yan's speed, he had reached the deepest part within less than 10 minutes. No wonder even Headmaster Mang Tiankai could only turn around and flee back then. Xiao Yan glanced at his dim surroundings after reaching the deep regions. He then shifted his eyes to examine a black lightning cluster which appeared like a huge dragon as it slowly wiggled within the darkness. Even with his current strength, his expression involuntarily became grave. The grave expression lasted for a moment before Xiao Yan slowly sighed. Some joy rose onto his face. If the Northern King absorbed this lightning, it would be able to reach a perfect level. At that time, it could even fight against an elite 6-star Dosheng. This kind of help would be very useful to Xiao Yan. Black Demon Lightning. Xiao Yan's feet paused outside of the region filled with black lightning. His eyes studied the black thunderbolts that clustered together before shock involuntarily flashed across them. Who would have expected Black Demon Lightning, which could only be attracted after a Tier 9 medicinal pill was refined, to exist in such vast numbers in this pool? This world was indeed filled with all sorts of mysteries. Xiao Yan was not unfamiliar with this Black Demon Lightning. He had once summoned it after refining a pill back at the small pill tower. However, that Black Demon Lightning was insignificant when compared to the Black Demon Lightning in this lightning pool. Fortunately, Xiao Yan's strength far surpassed what it had been back then. Otherwise, he would only have been able to flee after seeing such a number of Black Demon Lightning. The strength of nature is indeed unpredictable. Xiao Yan shook his head, but he did not immediately let the Northern King absorb the lightning strength. There was a lot of Black Demon Lightning in this place. If one carelessly activated all of them, they would be a little troublesome to deal with. Hence, he sat down outside of the Black Demon Lightning region with his legs crossed and began to observe the situation within the lightning pool. This observation lasted for an hour. An hour later, Xiao Yan finally sighed in relief after confirming that no accidents had occurred. A thought passed through his mind. The Northern King behind him took a step forward without any hesitation and slowly headed to the deepest part of the lightning pool. Bang! The Northern King immediately attracted the attention of a Black Demon Lightning after he entered the deepest part of the lightning pool. 100-foot large black thunderbolt, resembling a giant python, slowly wiggled above the head of the Northern King. A sizzling lightning glow was emitted from the body of this Black Demon Lightning. Under the control of Xiao Yan's mind, the Northern King halted before lifting its head to look at the black thunderbolt. After which, it slowly extended its hand and touched the lightning. The Black Demon Lightning did not dodge this attack. Instead, it appeared to have been provoked. It moved and ruthlessly smashed into the Northern King's arm. The Northern King's black metal-like body suddenly unleashed a strange suction force after the Black Demon Lightning touched its arm. It actually sucked the Black Demon Lightning into its body. The Northern King's hair stood up like many needles after the Black Demon Lightning was brutally dragged into its body. Circular black sparks continued to wildly flicker around its body. A strange sound was continuously emitted, causing this somewhat quiet part of the lightning pool to appear exceptionally deafening. Xiao Yan's eyes were somewhat anxious as observed the Northern King lingering within the black lightning. A moment later, a joy surged into his eyes. He sensed the unusually wild and violent strength of the Black Demon Lightning madly rage within the Northern King's body before finally merging with it. That wild and violent energy invaded the Northern King's muscles, bones, cells. The lightning strength was indeed effective on the Northern King. Under this refinement, the originally black body of the Northern King had become a little duller. The muscles on its body filled with a strength visible to the eye. The effect is quite good. The energy from the Black Demon Lightning had ultimately merged with the Northern King's body. This merger caused Xiao Yan to feel some joy. Before a smile could surface on his face, all the hairs on his body ended up standing up. He lifted his head, only to find that many huge black bolts of lightning had encircled the Northern King's body like huge dragons. Crackling sparks flashed. The lightning was filled with a wild and violent force that numbed one's head. They were still attracted. Xiao Yan helplessly shook his head once the lightning moved. A thought passed through his mind, and the Northern King, which had been surrounded by many bolts of black demon lightning, suddenly pressed its foot down on empty space. Its body was like a cannonball as it shot forth. Boom! The actions of the Northern King had undoubtedly detonated the stalemate. The many bolts of black demon lightning moved at the same time. Many huge black thunderbolts chased the Northern King at a shocking speed. After which, one of them ruthlessly smashed into the Northern King's body. Bang! A black demon lightning collided with the Northern King's body. The bolt of lightning disappeared in a flash and was absorbed by the Northern King, but the huge force from the thunderbolt sent the Northern King flying for tens of thousands of feet. This kind of strength caused Xiao Yang to feel speechless. Even an ordinary one-star dosheng would feel a headache after being assaulted by one of these bolts of black demon lightning. Fortunately, the Northern King physical body had already reached a relatively frightening level. It didn't even lose a hair after being sent flying by tens of thousands of feet. After which, Xiao Yang made it sit down, allowing the many huge strands of black demon lightning to charge into it. Bang bang! Clear loud sounds repeatedly appeared within the deepest part of the lightning pool. Numerous tendrils of black demon lightning pounced on the Northern King like many huge dragons, but each time the black demon lightning came in contact with the puppet's body, a black glow would flash before disappearing. Subsequently, the black lightning arcs flashing around the Northern King's body became even denser. Xiao Yang clicked his tongue and praised as he watched this assault from outside the deepest region. His heart felt extremely comfortable. The strength of the Northern King's physical body had even surprised him. The ancient Void Dragon's body was extremely outstanding to begin with, and this Northern Dragon King was considered one of the top individuals among them. After devouring the Western and Southern Dragon Kings, the strength of the Northern Dragon King had been raised even further. If one were to simply compare the strength of one's physical body, it was likely that even Zi Yang would be somewhat inferior to the mutated Northern Dragon King. Of course, Xiao Yang also understood that when Zi Yang's Dragon Phoenix bloodline completely activated, no one in the whole world would be able to compare with the strength of her body. After being strengthened through various procedures and the refinement of the purifying demonic lotus flame, the physical body of this Northern King was relatively frightening. Hence, it did not show any signs of reaching its limit even after absorbing so many bolts of black demon lightning. This puppet could be considered an ultimate creation. The sky demon puppets that he had obtained back in the Dosheng remains where the great heaven creation palm had come from were piles of trash. The body was the most important material when it came to refining puppets. After the puppet was successfully refined, it would not be able to use Do Chi, so it could only rely on its physical body. However, a strong body like the body of the Northern Dragon King was extremely hard to find. The owner of the Dosheng remains' actual strength was likely far inferior to the Northern Dragon King. Naturally, the ingredients selected by him would not be top quality. According to this speed, the Northern Dragon King's strength should become a 6-star Dosheng within half a month. Xiao Yang smiled. This rate was extremely shocking, but he soon slowly withdrew his focus. He was preparing to shut his eyes and recuperate when an arm-sized black demon lightning unconsciously drifted over. Finally, it collided with his body in front of his stunned eyes. This tiny black demon lightning naturally did not pose much harm to Xiao Yan. A pink fire seedling swept out of his body when the lightning made contact. Then, the flame devoured that black demon lightning. The flame and the lightning caused Xiao Yang to feel slightly startled. He was just about to study the interaction of the black demon lightning when he suddenly sensed an unusually pure energy surge into his body. Finally, this energy spread throughout his limbs. Moreover, Xiao Yang was stunned to find that this pure energy contained a slight numbing feeling when it flowed by his internal organs. Sparks of an electric flow quietly invaded him, causing the organs in his body to emit an unusually relaxed feeling. This is the devouring power of the Nihility devouring flame. This sudden energy caused Xiao Yan to feel startled. "Yewa, delicious." A fire glow flashed onto Xiao Yang's shoulder. A cute palm-sized little Yi appeared. He widened its bright big eyes as he looked at those black demon lightning in the distance. A somewhat transparent glob actually appeared at the corner of his mouth before he hurriedly wiped at it away. He then sucked with his small mouth and an unusual devouring power erupted. Over a dozen bolts of black demon lightning from a short distance away swiftly rushed toward Xiao Yang as though they had been swept over by a tornado. They were then devoured by little Yi on Xiao Yang's shoulder. Some black-colored lightning arcs flashed over little Yi's body after he swallowed the dozen-plus strands of black demon lightning together. At the same time, a shockingly pure energy once again materialized within Xiao Yang's body without warning. Finally, it scattered to his limbs and bones. This time around, Xiao Yang had gained an understanding of the source of this energy. His heartbeat suddenly quickened. The blood demon lightning was extremely violent. Even though the energy within it was extremely shocking, he had never dared to even think of absorbing it. He might possess the purifying demonic lotus flame, but this thought had still never crossed his mind. However, little Yi possessed a tiny bit of the devouring power of the nihility devouring flame and was able to absorb this energy. Xiao Yang's throat slowly rolled. After the energy, which caused his body to feel numb, quietly merged with his body, he discovered that his strength, which had not increased ever since he had left the demonic flame realm, had once again slightly increased. Xiao Yang stiffly lifted his head. He looked at the densely packed cluster of black demon lightning in the distance as an extremely heated expression suddenly filled his eyes. Since little Yi could refine and devour black demon lightning, which was lethal in the eyes of others, these bolts had become a perfect source of nourishment in his eyes. "All of these are mine." Xiao Yang licked his lips somewhat greedily as a joyous low roar was emitted from his throat. Within the empty realm lightning pool, Xiao Yang forcefully suppressed the excitement in his eyes after a long while. He looked at little Yi on his shoulder. The only one who could endure the black demon lightning's wild and violent energy assault was this fire spirit. The crystal droplet on the corner of little Yi's mouth became even denser when Xiao Yang glanced over. He immediately rubbed his flabby hands on his face and flew forward. Finally, he appeared in the air above a cluster of black demon lightning, a circular pink flame that emitted a devouring power spread from his body. Any strand of the black demon lightning that touched this fire circle would meet a suction force that could not be resisted. They were unable to escape regardless of how they struggled. Finally, all of them flew along the edges of the fire circle before entering little Yi's small body. Crackle! The surface of little Yi's body began to flicker with many black arcs after the many bolts of black demon lightning had been devoured. The black demon lightning that entered his body was swiftly refined by the purifying demonic lotus flame and then turned into an extremely pure energy that spread apart. While little Yi was wildly devouring the black demon lightning, Xiao Yang remained sitting in the empty space. Wave after wave of an unusually pure and powerful energy began to appear within his body without any warning. He focused his mind and controlled this energy, circulating it along route designated by the flame mantra chi method. Finally, this energy transformed into powerful Do Qi that merged into every part of Xiao Yang's body. Xiao Yang had shut his eyes and had focused his mind. He could clearly hear the countless cells within his body emitting a voice filled with desire and joy as this energy was shuttled around. Just one black demon lightning was comparable to an entire day of training for Xiao Yang. It was impossible to even compare the effectiveness between the two because they were truly vastly different. If it is possible to absorb all of this black demon lightning, it not be difficult to reach the advanced level of the 5th star of the Doshan class. Xiao Yang glanced sideways at the black demon lightning, which filled the deepest parts of the lightning pool, with narrowed eyes. A faint smile lifted onto the corner of his mouth before he shut his eyes. He began to refine and absorb the powerful energy surging from his body at an increased speed. The quiet deepest parts of the empty realm lightning pool were currently emitting waves of roaring thunder. Many giant python-like black thunderbolts whistled down. Their might covered this area as tens of thousands of thunderbolts moved together. In front of this spectacular spectacle, even an elite Doshan would feel extremely tiny. There were two whirlpool-like existences within the black lightning sea. Many black thunderbolts whistled around these two spots, causing them to be surrounded. Regardless of how ferocious the bolts were, the two regions were like bottomless pits that could not be filled. All of the bolts of black demon lightning, regardless of quality, would eventually disappear with a black flash of light. Those two gluttonous individuals tirelessly and crazily devoured clusters of black demon lightning. A figure was seated at the edge of the deepest region of this lightning pool. Many black lightning arcs would occasionally flee from his skin, setting off his black clothes and hair, giving him an exceptionally mysterious and unfathomable appearance. This devouring was destined to last for a long time. Fortunately, the amount of lightning within the lightning pool in the empty realm had already reached a relatively frightening extent after evolving over an uncountable number of years. Otherwise, they would have been devoured by these two black hole-like existences within a short period of time. The lightning pool was hidden within the endless empty realm where seldom a person traveled. Even elite Doshengs, who occasionally barged into this realm, would not dare to simply enter the lightning pool. Hence, Xiao Yan's training progressed unusually smoothly without anyone disturbing him. Time flew by during this training. Within the blink of an eye, 1 month had quietly passed. During this 1 month, there was no telling how many bolts of black demon lightning the Northern King and Little Yi had devoured. That enormous, seemingly endless, devouring caused the number of black demon lightning within the deepest part of this lightning pool to become a lot fainter. Of course, after devouring such a vast amount of black demon lightning, both the Northern King, Little Yi, and even Xiao Yan had naturally gained incomparable benefits. The Northern King's body had become a slightly deeper shade of black after being refined for an entire month. The black color possessed an unusual demonic force. At a glance, it appeared like a continuously rotating black hole. An attack that landed on it would be devoured by the black hole. The strange black glow lingered around the Northern King's body. From a distance, it appeared as though an extremely thin layer of black-colored armor had been formed on his body. The armor was deep and dark, causing the Northern King to appear a little mysterious. The current body of the Northern King, which could only be described as terrifying, would be able to fight equally with a genuine 6-star Doshen. Moreover, it had inherited the rich battle experience of the Northern Dragon King, forcing its opponent to truly regard it as an elite 6-star Doshen. After the Northern Dragon King's body had been strengthened to this level, it seemed to have vaguely touched a limit. Regardless of how it absorbed the black demon lightning, the effect was extremely insignificant. Xiao Yan could only helplessly shake his head. Regardless of how perfect it had been made, a puppet was ultimately a puppet. It was already extremely difficult to strengthen it to such an extent. It would likely be far too difficult to make it even stronger. While the Northern King had obtained a wonderful result, Xiao Yan and Little Yi, who had madly devoured black demon lightning for a month, had also made significant gains. Xiao Yan had not only risen an initial 5-star Doshen to an intermediate 5-star Doshen, he had also reached the peak of the intermediate level. It was not impossible for him to reach the advanced level within a short period of time. As for Little Yi, his body was still as tiny as before, but it was possible to vaguely see some black lightning arcs flashing through the pink flame on his body. After devouring such a large amount of black demon lightning, tendrils of black demon lightning had actually begun to appear within the purifying demonic lotus flame. This caused the offensive strength of the purifying demonic lotus flame to significantly rise. Xiao Yan was relatively satisfied with his gains, but the problem the Northern King had experienced also occurred to Xiao Yan a month later. After his strength had been raised to the intermediate level of the 5th star of the Doshin class, Xiao Yan's body seemed to have developed a resistance for the black demon lightning. The obvious increase in his strength from earlier had diminished, so he had no choice but to withdraw from his training state. Xiao Yan opened his eyes, which had been shut for a month. A, B, C. There was also a faint black arc of lightning flashing within them. His mouth was slightly widened as a low lightning roar was emitted from his throat. Hu! Air, which contained some black lightning, was released from Xiao Yan's mouth. He stood up as waves of a clear cracking sound were emitted from his body. The majestic and endless strength he felt seemed just like a huge dragon had hidden itself within his muscles. The huge dragon could rise with just a thought and unleash a frightening destructive force that would make one speechless. I was just about to step into the advanced level of the 5th star of the Doshan class, how unfortunate. Xiao Yan briefly examined his body before he shook his head in regret. He beckoned with his hand. A red light and a black light rushed out of the deepest part of the lightning pool. In a flash, it appeared beside Xiao Yan. These lights were the Northern King and Little Yi, who had been devouring the black demon lightning for a month. Xiao Yan's eyes swept over the Northern King, whose body seemed to be covered in a black crystal. The crystal flickered with a mysterious luster as an aura, which caused even him to feel wary, gradually spread apart, causing others to not want to underestimate it. Perfect. Xiao Yan's finger touched the Northern King's arm. From this touch, he understood that if a huge dragon was hidden in his muscles, there were 10 or more of them hidden in the Northern King's skin. Such a puppet could only be described as perfect. Xiao Yan's eyes shifted to Little Yi after observing the Northern King. Little Yi's appearance did not appear to have changed much, but there seemed to be black arcs of lightning present. The Northern King has already reached its limit. The black demon lightning is unable to raise its strength anymore. My body has also begun to form a resistance against the black demon lightning's energy. The effects of continuing to train will greatly diminish. Xiao Yan mulled over the matter. A moment later, he finally felt like leaving. After having been away for a month, Kaelin and the rest would have become a little worried. This might be a good place to train, but it was impossible for him to remain here for much longer. It is time to leave. Xiao Yan softly sighed. He lifted his head and once again glanced at the lightning pool. He had just turned his body when the deepest part of the lightning pool, which had gradually quietened down because Little Yi and the Northern King had ceased devouring the lightning, suddenly fluctuated. Immediately, black lightning flickered through the pool. They swarmed toward the dark region in the middle from all directions. Xiao Yan was startled after the lightning move. He immediately frowned. His eyes scanned the deepest part of the lightning pool. There seemed to be an unusual pressure growing there. This pressure felt similar to the pressure black demon lightning emitted. However, it was many times stronger. Xiao Yan's eyes stared at that area. His eyes flickered. A moment later, he slowly rose into the air and absorbed Little Yi into his body. He made the Northern King walk in front of him as they slowly headed toward the dark region. The strange pressure increased as they approached the dark region. In the end, Xiao Yan's footsteps came to a sudden halt. His dark black eyes contained a trace of shock as they stared at the middle of the lightning sea. A huge dragon, which seemed to be made of gold, was entrenched at that spot. Golden thunderbolts shot from the surface of its body. This is the 9 mysterious golden lightning that can only be attracted by a Tier 9 golden pill, highest Tier 9 medicinal pill. It says 1 month, but shouldn't it be 2? The paragraph above says a month later Xiao Yan experienced the same problem as the Northern King did. The Northern King didn't have this problem until a month in though. Is it supposed to just be the same month of time instead of a month later? True. But I guess the author forgot about the 1 month before. Actually no, 2 paragraphs earlier, Lin Dong seems to have awoken to deal with the Northern King. See, yeah, he awoke to deal with the Northern King, but the paragraph right before this one states this: Xiao Yan was relatively satisfied with his gains, but the problem the Northern King had experienced also occurred to Xiao Yan a month later. That sentence makes it seem like he woke up, dealt with the Northern King, then went back to training, then experienced the same problem as the Northern King a month later. This video will end here.